Is it okay like this?
Yeah, beautiful. You sound good. Here we go.
Ellis in there as well. Boychuk looking for it. Tavares pulls it out. Tavares backhand towards the goal. Loose puck. Everybody scores! Tie game! Can you believe it?
Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1672 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open, an award-winning podcast hosted by FOTM Al Grego. Silverwax.ca. Use the promo code TorontoMike10 and save 10% at silverwax.ca. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management Inc. and Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd, it's Gord Miller. How you doing, Gord?
I'm great. You? When was I last here?
You were last here, January 2023.
Okay. A couple of years ago. Okay.
Episode 1188.
I feel like I just finished the lasagna you gave me. I think last week I had the last piece of that giant lasagna you gave me.
It's big, right?
It's huge. It was like this.
You know what? We don't spare no expense on this
It's
program.
like this crazy
Gord.
giant lasagna. It was delicious.
But did you finish it?
I think what I ended up doing was take it to like a house party or something. It's like, I offloaded like the last 6 pieces at this house party or something.
You could have fed the World Junior Squad.
Oh
with
my
that,
God, it was
Palma
great.
Pasta lasagna. So I have another one for you from Palma Pasta.
A lasagna?
If
Is
I
it
give-
smaller
yeah.
size or is it?
No,
is
it's the same size.
The family size?
It's a family size.
Okay.
Would you take it?
I'll take it. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, because it is
I'm not gonna say
delicious,
no.
right? I did hear you say that,
delicious,
right?
But I need instructions on how to because it comes frozen, right?
Yeah. So you want to know what I do? So I put it in the fridge for 24 hours. And then I put it at 375 for 45
I know, but the
minutes.
problem I have with that is that I have to cook the whole lasagna, and I don't want to. I only want to cook half of it. Like, there's got to be
You
a
need
way.
a chainsaw.
There's a way to because it's hard to cut through. I tried that. I think I broke a knife doing that. So
Oh, you can't do that. No.
Okay.
That's like cement right now when it's frozen. But that's a good problem to have, right? You could go to your neighbors and say, "Hey, your friendly neighborhood Gord has given you this delicious slice of lasagna."
I just moved, so that would be a good way to ingratiate myself to the new neighbors. I could give them lasagna.
Did you move? Like, where did you move to?
Well, I'm still in Midtown. I've been in Midtown for like, I don't know.
You are the original Midtown Gord, because there's a gentleman who listens to this program who goes by the name Midtown Gord because he used to call into the Fan 590 all the time. And another Gord, who will come up in a minute, Gord Stellick, decided he was Midtown Gord.
Okay, so I've lived in Midtown for, I don't know, 30 years now, something like that, and I love it. But I moved typically 2 blocks into a new place. So
Like, it must be a really nice place, because that sounds like a lot of hassle to move 2 blocks.
yeah, it is a lot. I'm not moving again. I've decided I'm done moving. This is it for me. So like the next time I move, it'll be with a toe tag on. Hopefully,
To Ridley Funeral Home.
Ridley Funeral Homes. I've got a reservation with them a long time from now, and
No joke. If you do the prepay, like if you pay for your funeral at Ridley Funeral Home, then let's say you die. Let's pretend you go another 35 years. Okay. It doesn't matter what happened with inflation or whatever and what it would cost then. You still paid for it in 2025 money. Like, this is the best way to buy a funeral, is to prepay.
And the best thing is you're dead. So your friends can't go, you don't hear your friends going, what a cheap jerk he is. he bought the discount, pay in advance.
Oh, imagine
funeral.
you bought in before this recent inflationary period.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you'd be laughing all the way to the grave. Okay,
I don't
Gord.
want to laugh on my way to the grave. That's the other thing is, I was talking to someone about this the other day. I want people to be miserable when I die. I want people to be unhappy and sad that this great important person in their life died.
Yeah.
I don't want them sitting there going, oh no, Gord would want us to be happy. He wouldn't want us to be sad. No, Gord wants you to be sad.
Gord, if you died, I don't know if I could even watch the World Juniors on TSN. I don't even think I could tune in without hearing your voice again.
Well, I think you get over it eventually.
No, you know what they'll do? You know what the Bell Media will do? They'll make some AI version of Gord Miller.
Maybe the AI version of me would be better.
Would you sign off if they gave you, I don't know, X dollars? Bell Media said, hey, we want to use your voice as the voice of the juniors way after you're gone. Will you sign off and give us permission to mimic?
That would be creepy, I think.
Well, it depends on the money, no? Like, was there a price?
I'll be dead. Do I need the money?
But you get the money while you're alive.
The money now. You've asked some odd questions. I gotta say.
We're just warming up, Gord. But I do want to give you this because for Ridley Funeral Home.
Right. Is it 6 feet? Like does it measure like like this, and then it go across and for the casket?
Right, like in the Wild West.
Yeah.
You remember the Wild West.
Ochre pine.
Okay, so you're still Midtown Gord.
Yes. Apparently, I never called it the Fan though. But okay.
You never. You must have appeared on the Fan as a hockey expert.
I did. We used to do. I used to do Bob McCown show at the Fan actually on Mondays. We had to deal with them.
You know what I got loaded in here? The old primetime sports theme song.
Yeah, I used to do the Monday round table with Bob, and it was fun. The amazing thing was that Bob would quite honestly say, like, don't talk about the Patriots-Colts game last night because I didn't watch it. You didn't watch the NFL game of the week? No, I didn't see it.
No. Okay, but were you a friend of Bob?
Yeah.
Who would, do you remember who else would be on these round tables with you?
Damian Cox was on sometimes. Jim Shaky Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
The late Jim Shaky Hunt.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a good group. And of course, Bob had to run it for a smoke every commercial break. So they had like this, he would pre-record something. So they'd go down for like 2 minutes, come back to his pre-recorded thing, go back down for 2 minutes. And that gave him time to go down the elevator, hack a butt, and come back up.
Did you ever smoke?
Me? I've had cigarettes, but I'm not.
But you've never been addicted to the darts.
No. Are you a smoker?
No, never smoked.
I wouldn't think. You're kind of a health guy. Like,
not really. Like I eat a lot of pizza and stuff.
Pasta. Well, you get the pasta from,
I gotta eat a lot of palma pasta.
You eat giant lasagnas in one sitting.
I can down. You know what though? I was gonna ask you about your cycling life. Like, do you winter ride?
Not as much. I do. I'm cautious about ice and things like that. But yeah, I don't mind riding when it's cold as long as there isn't ice and snow on the ground.
So if it's dry, but let's say it's minus 10 degrees Celsius, you'll go out for a ride.
No problem.
So now, I mean, I did 45K today, and that's a brag. So Gord, you can.
It was a humble brag. Oh, sorry.
No humble. Yeah. There's no humble in there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's called a straight up brag. 45K today, and today it's like summertime out there now.
Any hills though? Any hills in your ride?
Not too much because
you're here in the
I do
lakeshore.
waterfront trails. So
so I go from Midtown, which I think was established where I live. I go down Bayview.
Midtown Gord, yeah.
I go down Bayview and through the ravine system. But then to come home,
you got to go up.
You got to go up Bayview, up to Moore, and that thing is a beast. And I know, like the first month, so I'll be out there. I'll be biking like this week and next week. I know that an exercise bike is not the same as
being out there on the
like riding that hill. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was riding up that hill, and this guy, this older gentleman in like a Union Jack cycling kit, like he's got the spandex shorts on. Yeah. He's like, "Well done, laddie, you're doing all right." And he went by me like I was towing a trailer. I just zoomed up the hill. Yeah.
Well, what kind of bike? You got like just a road bike? What do you got?
I got a road bike, yeah.
Okay, I've been riding the single speed, for a few years now.
Really?
Pretty much primarily, like in dry conditions anyways. It's a Fuji Feather, so single speed. And I think I've encountered 2 hills in the city that I had to actually get off and walk because I couldn't generate the energy to get up because I have no gears to.
So you know what happened to me? So I do about a 40K route. Okay. So I go down from Mount Pleasant Cemetery, down Bayview, down to the lakeshore, out to the Balmy Beach Club, back up the Dawn Trail North, up to Sunnybrook, back down. So I needed some air in my tire, stopped at the thing, and they charge you for air now.
Is that right?
Yeah, they charge you for air, which is outrageous. But anyway, I had to tap with my phone. So I took my phone out, tapped, put my phone back in the little pouch I got there, do my ride, right? Come home, go fishing for my keys. My phone is not in the pouch. My phone is, so I go back to the gas station, not there.
Retrace your steps, yeah.
Call it from the gas station, no answer. So now I got to retrace my steps. I got to redo this whole ride, right?
But you got to ride slower because you got to look.
Looking down for my phone.
Right.
I get up,
Yeah.
I was up. I went back up the Sunnybrook Hill by the stables there, where the cricket grounds are. Do you know up at Sunnybrook?
Not as well.
So
as
sort
you
of
do.
sort of like Leslie and Lawrence.
Okay.
So I come back down the hill.
Yeah.
And there's a fence post, and I look, and there's my phone.
You lucky son of a gun.
Someone had taken my phone and put it on the fence post, and I got my phone back. Now, my daughter, who is
how old's your daughter?
20 now. Okay. She, you
don't have a 20-year-old daughter, by the way.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah. She said, "You don't have locate my phone on there, on your iPad."
Right.
No, I didn't. So I now have that.
Okay, the good advice from your daughter, and good luck on your part. I know that feeling of, I remember, where's my keys? And I have all my bike lock keys on there and everything, and you start to have that anxiety, like, oh, what a pain in the ass this is going to be to replace everything and get replacements. And then you retrace your steps, and when you see it, you have that relief, right? That like, there it is.
Yes.
I don't have to go through that hassle. Oh my goodness.
I've never lost my wallet, never lost my keys.
Okay, lucky guy.
I'm imagining what it must be like. I've never lost I obviously misplaced my phone, but
do they still have the war amps thing? Like as a kid, that was the thing.
You put the
war
tag
amps
on.
tag.
They do. I still
and then
see
people drop it in the mailbox, and it gets.
But apparently, if you find someone's wallet, just put it in the mailbox.
Oh, and they'll track you down if there's ID in there. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's a good pro tip. So people can do that. I want to read the description. Oh, you know what I want to do first, Gord, is I want to crack this Great Lakes open. Okay,
good,
so you have a Canuck Pale Ale, so you can crack on the mic.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, it sounds good. This is fresh. I think it was canned like last week or something. I have the Sunnyside. They only started canning this thing for the summer about a week ago. The Sunnyside Session IPA.
Oh, that's a pro.
You know, I've done it a few times, Gord.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, bud.
Cheers.
Good to see you.
You too.
So I took a note, January 2023. My note was, I'm going to read the description and then I'll tell you my mental note. So that's what I wrote. In this 1,188th episode of Toronto Mike, Mike chats with Gord Miller about his career calling hockey games at TSN, calling Usain Bolt's 100-meter victory in the 2012 Olympics, working at ESPN and more. We talked for about, an hour 19. And I took a mental note. I like this guy. We got to get him back. You know, I said the royal we, like there's more than me here, okay? So we got to get this guy back.
Where are they?
It's me, myself, and I. Okay. But here you are back here. Did you ever have the pleasure of working a game with Greg Millen?
I did not. I knew him around the rink a lot, but I don't think I ever worked with him. No, because I was at CBC in the 80s and he wasn't there then.
Wasn't there
He
yet.
was playing.
He was still playing?
No, I did not. He was a terrific. I mean, I think the hardest thing to do is to be an analyst for a long time, because once you run out of when I played, or I played against that guy, then the work starts. You got to keep up. You've got to, watch games and talk to people. And Greg never lost his enthusiasm for that. He always had. It's hard to do it for a long time, and he did a very good job. And he was always a gentleman around the rink and funny guy, a jokester. So I really, I was really saddened to hear about his death, and Ray Shiro, who passed away a couple of days later, who was a good friend. And but yeah, it's sad because, and you think about it, like Greg did the Olympics multiple times, Stanley Cup final, worked with Bob Cole, all the stuff that he had two amazing careers. He played in the National Hockey League for a long time, and then became a broadcaster for a long time. That's hard to do.
Hard to do. I assumed you crossed paths with him, but in his passing was so very sudden that very sudden and sad. So our condolences to those who knew and loved Greg. Another name is a little less shocking due to the age, but still kind of a fixture. Jerry McNamara passed away.
Yeah, former GM of the Leafs, drafted Wendell Clark. The amazing thing about Wendell is that he was a defenseman.
Yeah.
His whole life until the Leafs drafted him. In fact, he played in the 85 World Junior.
Right.
It's actually a great story. So he goes to training camp for the World Junior, and the head coach, I think, was Dave King. I can't remember who it was. Might have been Terry Simpson. Whoever it was said to him, "You're going to play defense sometimes, and you're going to play forward sometimes." And he'd never done it before. So we talked about this one time. We did a round table, and Gary Roberts was there. And Rob says, "Wait a minute, I got cut from that team. So I was cut as a winger because of you, and you'd never played the position."
It's a great story.
So Canada played the Czechs, There was no gold medal game back then. It was a straight round robin. And Wendell played forward and defense in that game and scored on Dominic Hasek in the third period. Wow. The tie gave Canada the gold medal.
Wow.
So the Leafs, that was his draft year. The Leafs saw that and decided he's going to be our power winger. And Jerry McNamara and his staff drafted him, and Wendell became this, one of the top power wingers of his era.
Oh, man, I've been, this is going to tie into something I want to talk to you about in a moment, but I've been calling Wendell the Great One. Like, I'm giving him the title. Man, I love Wendell Clark. In fact, you can't see, it's behind this light here.
My former neighbor. Wendell and I were neighbors for 3 years on Madison Avenue in Toronto.
He's been on my show a couple of times, but I did a few recordings at Christie Pitts for Toronto Maple Leafs baseball games last summer. And the opening game, which was Mother's Day 2024, Wendell came by. I remember that. And we had Rick Emmett on that show, Wendell Clark. Yeah.
From Triumph?
The one and only.
There you go.
Gil Moore was here last week.
Oh, Dougie was?
No.
Oh.
Gil, yeah.
Oh, Gil.
I actually asked him, I said, do you ever get, people ever can know? Because Triumph, Gil Moore.
Gilbert Moore, yeah.
And I said to him, I said to Gil Moore, like, has there ever been confusion over the fact that when you say Gil Moore, people think Dougie? Like, because they think you're saying Gilmore. Yeah. So you just did exactly what I have actually done in the past as well. But Jerry McNamara, maybe the most important thing he ever did for the Toronto Maple Leafs was scouting Borje Salming.
Yes. Yeah, scouting Borje. And I think that people don't realize what a leap it was for the Leafs to take him and for him to come over.
Right.
Because the NHL in those days was a jungle. This is the Broad Street Bullies. And there's a culture in hockey then and even now, anti-European. They're soft, everything else. Borje was tough, and I used to joke with him all the time. That people said Swedes are soft, and he would always say, "Well, we were Vikings, like the Swedes were Vikings. Like they rode across the open ocean, like they rode from Sweden to Newfoundland in the open ocean, like they."
I think that's Don Cherry's fault for this misconception that Swedes are soft. I think that's like a Don Cherry myth.
Yeah, and I think that it goes into a whole different conversation. But I mean that the idea that to be a Canadian patriot you have to hate other countries is wrong. I'm a Canadian patriot, but I love Sweden, I love Finland, I love Germany, I love a lot of countries. I like a lot of, but not all of the United States. But I think that Borje blazed a trail and was such a good player, but was so tough. And he set the template. He kicked the door open for the Swedes who followed.
Without a doubt, and it's kind of amazing that happened. So yes, Jerry McNamara went to Sweden. Inge Hammerstrom, how is that you say his name?
Inge Hammerstrom.
Right. Was scouting him, and then he's like, oh, who's this guy?
Right.
And the rest is history. But it's amazing it happened considering how ethnocentric the owner, Harold Ballard, was. Harold Ballard did not like European players.
And Ballard made the really unkind comment about Hammerstrom that if he went into the corner with eggs in his pocket, they wouldn't be broken, which was not fair because Inge was a very good player.
Right.
And not the first or last time that Harold Ballard said something stupid. But I think that it took courage to draft Borje Salming, but he was an excellent player. I would argue.
Oh yeah,
Borje is one of the 3 best Leafs of all time.
Yeah. Who would you put in that top 3 with him?
I think Dave Keon is one of the greatest Leafs of all time. I would say Borje. Red Kelly.
What's it going to take for Austin to make that top 3?
Well, he's moving up the list.
Check what time it is, right?
Yeah. He's going to become the Leafs all-time leading goal scorer within the next 12 months, probably, or 12 to 18 months. I think those guys were not just considered great Leafs; they were among the best players in the game, right? I think Borje would have won Norris trophies as the top defenseman, but the voting was so, Now Bobby Orr was playing for part of that time, but
sure.
The voting was so North American centric, right?
Right.
It was really
huge bias at play there.
Yeah.
Here, so do you know that when I was coming of age and discovering NHL hockey and falling in love with the Maple Leafs, Jerry McNamara was the general manager. So he's the first general manager of the Leafs I was ever aware of.
Right.
This is easy for you, Gord Miller, but can you name the man who succeeded Jerry as general manager of the Maple Leafs?
Give me the year.
88? Is it 88?
Gord Stellick?
You got it. So this is a great way for me to do a quick game with you, and then we're going to get serious. The game is simply word association. So basically, I say the name, and you'll just give, instant reaction. You can use more than one word. I won't hold you to it. But we're doing only great Canadian Gords. Okay.
So just to preface this, I was just down in the States in Washington, and when I say my name, it's like Cord, Ward. It's such an uncommon name in the United States, and it's so common here.
Yes, because I was thinking of all the Gords I know.
So I'm named after Gordie Howe.
So Gordy. Okay, so hold that thought, because that's gonna be the first Gordy I throw at you. Okay. So Gord Stellick. Oh, I'll throw him in the list here. Okay, but I also find it to be a very Canadian name, and as we go through this list, you'll see the only two non-Canadian Gords that jump out at me. I watched Sesame Street growing up. There was a Gordon.
Yeah.
So that's an American Gord. And the name of Alf, alien life form, Alf, is Gordon Shumway.
Oh, no way.
Okay, so he's not American. He's an alien.
Is Gordon Ramsay on your list?
I forgot about Gordon Ramsay.
Come on.
So, okay, there's three now. That's three Gords that aren't Canadian. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to name the Gord, and you're just going to react to the Gord. Okay. Gordie Howe.
Toughest guy that ever played. Meanest, but the meanest guy that ever played.
Elbows up.
Yeah. He was literally the originator of elbows up.
Yeah. And we'll get back to that later too.
Okay.
Gord Downie.
Wow. Yeah. He was I knew Gord. He he loved the Boston Bruins. Mm-hmm. Gord loved the Boston Bruins. And so I have a friend, Bill O'Reilly, whose brother Terry played for the Bruins. Bill was a lawyer in Toronto. And so to say hi to Bill, when we were on camera in Boston, we would always frame it so that Terry's retired number 24 was over my shoulder. We kind of moved it around to frame it. And when Gord Downie found that out, he just thought that was the greatest thing ever. He would text me like, I just saw the banner. He, obviously, I mean, look, the music speaks for itself and everything else, but he loved the Bruins. I remember when he got married, I think Bob McKenzie gave him a Boston Bruins, like, sort of cylinder trash can. And his wife was kind of like, she had a real style and taste. It was like, sort of like American Southwest, everything else. She's like, the trash can doesn't really go with the motifs. He's like, the trash can staying. He was like, the trash can is part of this.
So Bob McKenzie had a podcast for a while at TSN called the Bobcast.
Yes.
And the theme song was Thugs by the Tragically Hip.
Yeah, he was very close to Gord. Yeah.
And again, to bring it to hockey here for a moment here, well, Harry Sinden, of course, Gord Downie's godfather.
Yes.
Which brings in that Bruins lore. But after Gord's passing, we read about how close he was to Joe Thornton.
Yeah, and Joe has a bit of the heart of the poet about him, right? He's different than a lot of hockey people, and I don't know if you saw the stories about, Joe going for walks with Gord.
Yes.
And Joe is one of those guys that I would say took it all in. Joe took it all, like he traveled and, when we went to Switzerland to play, he took it all in. Like he looked around him and saw it. And it's tragic that a lot of guys who spend a lot of time on the road don't take the time to take it in, to see all the things that. I remember being in Washington one time. I won't say the team, but it was during the playoffs. I was staying in the same hotel as they were, and it was an off day, and so I was going down to see the Smithsonian. And like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to, Smithsonian. They're like, what are you doing? We're going to the movies. I'm like, you do that anywhere. So a couple of the guys came with me. I took them to the Air and Space Museum, and they were like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Like how many times have you been to Washington? Right? Like how many? Right. But Joe, I think, does have that bigger picture, which I've always appreciated.
Jumbo Joe. Not a Gord, but Gord Downie related here. Okay. Yeah. Gordon Lightfoot.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. It is. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is a phenomenal piece of songwriting. It's poetry at its absolute finest. Like it's evocative. It has, everything about it, you can just that's a song you can feel.
Agree 100%.
And Sundown, which is about the woman who ultimately killed John Belushi.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
I did read about
that's about her, yeah. But yeah, I mean, but that's...
And she recently passed, actually.
Yeah, that's true poetry, yeah.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald kind of keeps coming at you like waves, I find. Like, I love it too. But it reminds me of a song that came many years later by the aforementioned Gord Downey. It reminds me a little bit of Nautical Disaster.
Yeah.
Like, in that it just comes at you. Like, there's no, like, verse, chorus, verse or whatever. It just sort of rumbles through. But, okay, I got to shout out Rob Bruce, who's watching us on the live stream, live.torontomike.com, because he co-wrote Romantic Traffic with this gentleman, lead singer and founder of Spoons, Gord Depp.
Yes. Romantic Traffic was I want to say, what's that year? Like 80?
Oh, like he's on the live stream. Tell it, 85 maybe? Is it like 85?
I like that song.
Yeah. The video's great too.
Yeah.
I should play it. I was playing in the pregame. Okay, so again, shout out to Rob Bruce, who I'm going to see Wednesday. The listenership should know at 10-ish in the morning on Wednesday, we'll have Toast with Rob Bruce and Bob Willett, who is single-handedly saving terrestrial radio. I'm just reading the notes he sent me. Okay. Gordie Johnson from Big Sugar.
Not as familiar as I should be. I know Big Sugar, but I should know more about them.
Okay, well, you'll come back. Next time you come by, I'll ask you about Gordie Johnson. Okay, Gord Stellick.
Yeah, great guy. And I think the great thing about Gord Stellick is, look, the Courtnall for Cordic trade haunts him and everything else, but you know what? He jokes about it. He's very self-deprecating. And I think there's lots of guys who've had those jobs that aren't. He had a very difficult job working for Harold Ballard.
He didn't have autonomy. Like every time he takes flack for that deal, we talk about quite a bit, but it's not fair when you don't have autonomy. If somebody is pulling the marionette strings.
But he's had a great career post, Leafs, and he's, I think that Gord and his brother Bob Stellick maybe have a better handle on what Leaf fans think and Leaf fans feel than almost anyone in the city.
And they're two great storytellers as well.
Yeah, they really are, yeah.
Just let them go.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you want Harold Ballard stories, those are my first two stops, actually. Okay, we're almost done. A few more here, and then we're going to move on. But Gordon Pinsent, the great actor.
Oh, terrific actor. What's the movie? Away from Her?
Yes.
Is that the movie? Away from Her?
That's excellent.
A movie about Alzheimer's, right? About dementia. Right. It's incredible.
Yeah.
He had the incredible... do you remember the Forest Rangers on CBC? He was the Mountie.
I don't. You know what? I remember Beachcombers. Is it pre-Beachcombers?
It's pre-Beachcombers.
I don't remember it.
The most stilted dialogue ever, but he was the RCM. It was the most CanCon show ever done.
I remember The Littlest Hobo.
Yeah, but he was. But Away from Her, I think is that a Sarah Pauli? I'm not trying to make. But anyway, whoever. It's a.
I think so.
It's an amazing film. It's a simple, amazing movie about memory and loss. It's really good.
I agree. What year did you move to Toronto?
1990.
Okay, so I can hit you with this one. Gord Martineau.
Oh, yeah. I've had more people in grocery. Hey, Gord Martineau. Oh, no. And actually,
that's a compliment, because he's a very handsome man.
Yeah, that he is. I ran into him actually at a grocery store I ran into him at Summerhill Market not long ago. And we were having a good laugh. And he's got great stories about, and who was it? Daly. Who was the...
Mark Daly.
Mark Daly, yeah.
Well, hey, just hold that thought, because I do have this loaded up.
The following program contains adult themes, nudity, and coarse language. Viewer and parental discretion is advised.
He used to always have the promo, right? When he'd promo the late movie and make a comment about it. It's always like some sarcastic comment.
Yeah.
Like, put the kids to bed. This one's got some nudity in it. But those days, I mean, it's funny how... news anchors played such an outsized role in our lives, right? Because there was only a few stations and they were like the trusted, right? And now there's so many sources and there's so many newscasts. It's not the same, but yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Gord Martineau. And last but not least, and there's two gentlemen of this name, but there's two Gords in the Tragically Hip. That's how Canadian the Tragically Hip are. But Gord Sinclair.
Well, there's two Gord Sinclairs.
Right. There's the yes. So I was thinking
the cranky old guy on Front Page Challenge.
So do them both.
So Gordon Sinclair, for those who don't remember, Front Page Challenge used to run on Saturday nights. I think it ran before the hockey game in the Eastern time zone. It ran after the hockey game in the Western time zone. So in Alberta, we got front page challenge after the game. And I remember walking, so my hometown, Sundre, Alberta, I remember walking into the bar and there was a baseball game going on. There was a baseball playoff game going on, but they had front page challenge on. And I figured, well, they just left the TV on after the hockey game, so I had to change it. And they're like, we're watching that. And Gordon Sinclair always asked, how much money, like he always asked people how much money they made. He was obsessed with how much people made, how much they had. Right. And as for Gordon Sinclair of the more recent vintage, I think that one of the parts of the hip that's not fully realized is the great musicianship of everyone in that band. Like obviously Gord Downey's lyrics and his expression of them is so unique, right? His phrasing, his everything. But that band is so tight. Like that band is so good.
You had me at hello. Did you watch the Prime documentary series?
Yes.
What'd you think of it?
Liked it. I liked the original film that I think it was Nick DePonsier did on the hip, on the tour.
Oh, long time running,
yeah. Which I thought that to me was most evocative of them.
All right, I have a definitive answer for you on Romantic Traffic. It is a 1984 release.
So I'm 19 when that comes out.
That's prime time. Like I mean, those songs you fell in love with at 19, they're with you forever. So, and that video is a rare opportunity to see the Red Rocket, the old red subways.
Oh, the old red subways, yeah.
So it's a pretty cool thing. All right, so we're gonna go back to the city of my wife's birth. Okay, my wife is from Alberta. She's from Edmonton.
Okay.
I would like to talk about the man who only needs 2 goals to catch Ovechkin for the record for most NHL goals in a career. You see what I did there?
Yes, I see that. You think he's coming back?
You know, you never know anymore, right? How old was Gordie Howe when he hung up the skates as a professional hockey player? In his 50s, right?
Yeah, early 50s. Now, theoretically, he played one game in his 60s because he played 7 decades. I think he was 52 or 53 when he retired.
Yeah, so I mean, Gretzky's way older than that. But okay, so I kid. But could you share, like, come take us back? I know we talked a little bit about this when you were first here, but I'd like to dive in a little deeper and talk about, you covering Wayne Gretzky when he was an Oiler, when you were a radio reporter. Take me way back to Edmonton.
Okay, so
and Wayne Gretzky.
So this is 1983. I've started working at CBC Edmonton. On the TV side, I'm doing highlight packages. So in those days, CBC Edmonton had 3 satellite dishes, and most stations didn't have one. So Edmonton did highlight packages for all the other stations. So when you watched, CBLT in Toronto, Don Martin, Vic Rauter, those guys, they were getting their highlights from us. So I'd come in at 10 o'clock in the morning, Alberta time, and I'd do these highlight packages. So one night, it was a Sunday, I was going to be finished at like 5 o'clock, and they said, the radio guy is sick. Can you go down to the Oiler game and do post-game interviews? And then you come back and you clip them together and you feed them down the network so they have them in the morning. Okay, so I go down with my little tape recorder, my microphone, and I go down and Gretzky has like 4 or 5 points, whatever. And I go to the dressing room and he
Typical
talks.
Day.
Stick my microphone and he talks. And I come out, I'd not taken the pause button off. So I have nothing.
Right.
So now I can't go back with nothing. Right. I've just started. I can't go back with nothing. So I go back in. Wayne's getting undressed. I'm like, hi, Wayne. I'm from CBC. Well, I work in TV, but right now he says, go ahead. Let's get on with it. So I make sure the pause button's off, and I look up and I realize that 18-year-old me is talking to Wayne Gretzky. So in that moment, I summoned all the journalistic chops I had accumulated in my months in the business
right.
and said to him, good game. And to this day, he brings that up. And so he was very gracious. He gave me a great answer. I walked out, made sure I had it, went back to the office, clipped it, sent it down the line, and I'd done my job. But, yeah, and then of course, I start working full time. The Oilers win all the cups. He gets traded, And I think we've talked about the Gretzky trade story. But
Well, we're going to do it again because we're going to spend some time on number 99 here.
So the word came out in the summer of '88 he was going to be traded. And actually, Chris Cuthbert and I worked together at CBC Edmonton, and we reported first that the Oilers were considering trading Wayne Gretzky. Brian Burke, who was with Vancouver at the time, had given me the tip on it. And Bob McKenzie's always said, you guys must have been really big deals. You broke that story and nobody noticed.
That's
So
true.
it caught it. So I flew down to LA August the 5th, and Keith Olbermann was working in TV in LA at the time.
Right.
And we did a lot of stuff with Keith, trading video and everything else. And the Oilers had played LA a lot in the playoffs, so I knew Keith. And so I'm down in LA, and I'm going to like Dodger games. I'm hanging out. And finally my boss says, like, this thing's not going to happen. You got to come home. But on August the 9th, I guess it happened. The problem was we had correctly guessed the hotel. We guessed the Sheraton Gateway Hotel, which was then called the Sheraton Lorena in LA. But my Visa card had like a $1,500 limit. I'm 20. This is August of '88, so I'm 23.
Right.
And so Wayne rolls in with his agent, Mike Barnett, and the hotel is telling me that I have to leave my room. Like I have to vacate the hotel.
Right.
Because I'm over my Visa limit. And Wayne's like, what's going on? I'm like, no, it's fine. And the guy's, sir, do you have a method of payment? I'm like, yeah, they're going to kick me out. So Wayne reaches into his pocket, pulls up $500, said, will this cover it? And I said, yeah. Can I swear on the show?
Yep.
He says, you're a shit show. and so the next day, Wayne granted me an exclusive interview where he was staying. But first, I had to get my company to Western Union. This is how long it goes. Wire me money by Western Union to pay him back. But here's the funny. There's two funny bits of this. So
this amazing story.
So rewind. So Bruce McNall owns the Kings. He calls Gretzky on August the 8th and says, he calls the house that he's staying at. He's just been married. He and Jen had just gotten married a few weeks earlier. Calls the house. The kid answers, like 11-year-old kid answers. And he says, I need to speak to Wayne Gretzky, please. And the kid says, I don't think I'm supposed to say he's here. And McNall says, you just did. Put him on the phone. So he brings Wayne to the phone. He tells him the deal's going down. The kid was Robin Thicke.
Yeah.
Alan Thicke's son. He was staying at Alan Thicke's guest house.
Right.
So the other part of it is the following summer, I go to LA to do a story on Gretzky's first year with the Kings. And I go to LA. I brought my girlfriend at the time down for the weekend, interview, Wayne and Janet and all this stuff, and interview Bruce McNall. And so finished the interview with McNall, and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to stay for the weekend. I brought my girlfriend, whatever. He says, oh, I got a movie premiering on Saturday. Do you want to go? I'm like, sure. So I said to my girlfriend, you want to go to a Hollywood premiere? She's like, yeah. So we go, and it's this comedy. And halfway through, she's like, can we leave? Like, this is terrible. Like, this movie is not funny at all. Like, I don't think you can leave a premiere. Right. I think you're not allowed to leave the premiere. So the thing finishes. There's like a cocktail reception in the lobby. Walk out. Hey, Bruce. Thanks for inviting us. Good luck with the movie. We're walking like, good luck with that thing. So like 3 weeks later, we're watching Entertainment Tonight. We're back home. It's like, and for the third consecutive week, the number one movie at the box office is Weekend at Bernie's. And we're like, you got to be kidding me.
I can put a tag on that story, which is the director of Weekend at Bernie's passed away last week.
Yeah.
Toronto guy.
Yeah, just passed away. So McNall invited me to this Hollywood premiere, which I thought was terrible. And but yeah, so that whole thing with Wayne was, and it involves Olbermann. Like, it's got so many layers to it.
That's a documentary series unto itself.
Well, it actually is called. So Peter Berg, the director, did a thing called King's Ransom.
Right.
For ESPN,
for 30 for 30,
which runs like 8,000 times, and there's a clip of me in it. So Berg called me to get some background, and then had me sign a waiver. I said, well, the problem is, and this is true, CBC's video library burned down.
Oh.
So I have no, like the sort of off-site storage place burned down. So I have no video really of my career there. And so he said, well, if we find something, will you release it? I'm like, sure. So I signed the waiver. You'll never find anything. He did. And it's in the documentary, and I look like I'm 10 years old. So and the thing runs like 8,000 times a year. And so I get texts from guys all the time. I remember Andrzej Kopitar of the Kings saw it. He goes, how old were you, dude? Like, so yeah. So there was a documentary about it. It's been you know, it's hard to explain to people now how earth-shattering that trade was. And it was brought up in Parliament. It was such a big deal, right?
So Gord, when you first reported it, you know, Bob McKenzie has that great line, whatever. Like, did people just say, "No way can this be true"? Like this.
Yeah, Glenn Sather called us and said, "You will not be allowed back in our building. Like we're banning you from our building." And then Berkey confirmed it. And actually, before I came home, Keith Olbermann knew the controller or the CFO from McNall's company, and the guy told him this is happening. So that's when we decided to stay.
Right.
And Olbermann had just started a new station, and he was like, and Keith is a loud rock, right? Like Keith is a loud guy, and I love him. Right. But he's like, you know, we told you guys this thing was going to happen, and you wouldn't listen to him. I just need some editing time. I don't want to fight with you guys. I'm not trying to make a point here. I just want to get the story on the air. And it was a wild, wild time. Like it was.
Well, the whole thing has twists and turns, and it's wild. But you know, just Gretzky bailing you out or whatever when you can't keep your hotel room because your visa's maxed out. Like it's all incredible. So, when was the last time you talked with Wayne Gretzky?
We talk regularly.
Okay,
we're veering into uncomfortable territory here, I suspect.
You know, you can always tap out. You know, you know, this. I'm not going to rough you up, but I'm not going to treat you like a hostile witness. But do you have any thoughts on? Let's face it, the heel turn, Wayne Gretzky in this country. I mean, the guy was beloved by everyone in this country, and today I suspect if he made an appearance in Canada, he'd be heavily booed.
So, my thinking on it is that he has the right to be friends with whoever he wants to be friends with. I would say he has not said anything publicly either way. And for some people, that's a problem. Some people think he should say something.
He's been silent on this subject.
Right. Now, he did talk the other day to Ben Mulrooney on his show and just said that he's not political. He doesn't have that kind of relationship with Trump. He doesn't have the relationship with Carney or Trudeau. He's not a political person. But the fact that he went to the inauguration, right, and is friendly with Trump is enough to make a lot of people angry. So I would say this. He has the right to be friends with whoever he wants to be friends with, to hang out with whoever he wants to hang out with. He has that right.
Of course.
But by doing that, he has to understand that will anger a lot of people when the country's under attack, and that his silence will be seen by some people as being complicit to that. So it's not a cop-out to say he's got the right to do what he wants and people have the right to have their opinion about it. I think the whole thing is unfortunate. I think part of what happened was the Four Nations. So they were always coming out the same entrance. They weren't going to be two entrances. There was always going to be one entrance. He came out, didn't know a Rosie O'Donnell was going to wear a sweater. He waved at Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, who he's known since they were kids. He coached their dad. But the optics of it weren't great. And so I understand people's frustration. Look, Canadians' blood is up, right? Our blood's up. We are under attack for the first time by our closest neighbor and the most powerful nation on earth. And so that's going to have people angry and upset. And I think it would be naive to think that if you're going to pal around with him, that there's not going to be some blowback.
Okay, well said. And again, I know you're in an uncomfortable position. You're friendly with Wayne, and I wish I were friends with Wayne Gretzky. Okay,
what would you say?
I slept on his sheets, but
what would you say?
I would say we're not. Again, this is a hypothetical scenario where he appears in Canada and gets booed. I've invented this scenario because he hasn't. I don't think he's had a Canadian appearance in a while. But it's not because he was at Mar-a-Lago on election night, and it's not because he was photographed wearing a MAGA hat. I think it's 100% because Donald Trump has consistently threatened to annex our sovereign nation and make us the 51st state. One time on Truth Social, Wayne Gretzky Donald Trump used the name Wayne Gretzky and said he'd be a great governor of a 51st state. So Donald, his buddy, is drawing him into this by, saying he'd be a great governor. I had Charlie Angus on the program. I won't play the clip because I played enough on Toronto Mike, but you can find it. It was on this hour is 22 minutes. They didn't give me any credit for it, though, but it's from here. And it's essentially Charlie Angus talking about how Gretzky needs to make a statement. He just has to say something that he doesn't agree with Canada giving up any sovereignty and that he wants Canada to remain independent and free. All the booing is because his silence on this 51st state bullshit is speaking volumes.
It sounds complicit.
Right. I remember when he stumped for Stephen Harper, and I remember thinking, oh, Gretzky's a conservative. I didn't regret sleeping on his sheets as a kid because he votes conservative. Like, I don't think it's because he's buds with Trump or golfs with Trump or goes to Mar-a-Lago or even got, a photograph taken wearing a MAGA hat. Although I don't like any of that, but that's not why we're going to boo him. It's 100% because he hasn't said boo about the fact Trump is threatening to annex this country and wants to devastate this country financially, and said as much. He's going to use economic weaponry, if you will, to bring us to our knees. So we're so dissolute here, we are begging to become a part of the United States.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I guess he has the right not to speak. And his position all along has been that he has not said anything. So he is maintaining his silence, and I'm not talking on political subjects. That's his, Bobby Orr endorsed Trump in 2020.
Of course.
And took the heat, the blowback for that. Gretzky's argument is that he has not endorsed anyone and is not. That's a difficult position to take. That's a difficult, sort of ground to stand on when the country's under attack.
Right. So again, we'll move on from this, except I do wish he had, it was in his heart to issue some kind of statement. And I heard the Ben Mulroney thing. Ben must be good friends of Wayne because he didn't ask any of these specific questions I would ask. Like, if Wayne's in my basement, I'm going to ask him if he'd like Canada to become a 51st state. Like, there'll be specific questions about, does he agree with Trump's assertion that Canada should join the United States? Like, I would ask him straight out, like, respectfully. I would want to know if Gretzky wants Canada to remain sovereign nation, or does he think? Do you think
it's possible that, like a lot of people, I think, look, I find what Trump says offensive about Canada, deeply offensive. But there are a lot of people that just say, he doesn't mean it. It's never going to happen. It's not serious. It's just him, Greenland, all this stuff is never going to happen. It's just him being, him. I don't know. I mean,
okay, but what does Gord Miller think? So forget Wayne for a second, because you can't speak for Wayne, of course.
A lot of people have spoken for him, except for him. Like Doug Ford, his wife, Trump.
But that's also weird, right?
Yeah,
why are you all telling us what Wayne thinks? Does Wayne not have the ability to speak to us directly? He doesn't. And by the way, and I'm at the point now, and again, you're talking to a guy who, although a Leaf fan, our Leaf teams were so terrible, I adopted the Oilers as a team that could actually win a Stanley Cup, and they did 4 times of Gretzky. And I had the Wayne Gretzky sheet set, and I loved the
You've made
80s.
that point. You've made
I
that.
know. I want to point out, I loved the 80s Oilers. So I feel personally hurt.
Right.
Because I feel like it's possible that the reason he's silent is because he doesn't support Canada as a sovereign country.
He does.
You say so, but you're now you speak for him. Doug Ford speaks for him. Trump speaks for him.
I would say what he said the other day to Ben Mulroney
Gretzky
was his wife's American, his kids are American. He tells them, "I hope you're as proud of being as American as I am of being Canadian."
Okay, let's hear from Wayne. Okay, maybe next time you're texting, hey, do you want to chat me up about this?
I'll get right on that.
Okay.
I'll get right on that.
Okay. And it's interesting, you talk about, Gretzky being sold, if you are traded to the Los Angeles Kings. But that seems to be the playoff matchup again this year. It looks like it's going to be Oilers and Kings, right? Like that's set. And I know it was last year, but my wife always jumps on her Oilers bandwagon at playoff time. We got all the way to Game 7 last year.
You were going to ask me a question before, though. I interrupted.
What was I going to ask?
You were going to ask me my opinion about something.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
You want to be my co-host? You got me all flustered on the Gretzky talk there. Okay, so what do you think about Trump's threats? Do you think he's just, shooting off at the hip, or do you think there's, like, for example, I personally don't trust him not to use some sort of military force at some point if he wants this country?
I would say this. I think the biggest mistake people make with Trump is thinking there's some sort of grand plan or there's some sort of strategy at place. This is a child. This is a child. So picture a child trying to get what they want. That's what you're dealing with here. There's no 3D chess being played here. There's no great strategy. There's no great planning. You're dealing with someone who makes things up as they go along, doesn't have a real understanding of things, and and that's what it leads to. So that's kind of where I don't take a lot of look, what he does is serious. It shouldn't, but
he's signing a lot of executive orders that are causing real people real pain.
100%.
Like most children don't get that power.
Well, that's the people around him too are using him as a vessel. But yeah, I think that, look, I think I don't take the threat seriously. The 51st state is never going to happen. It's seriously never going to happen. So it's insulting. I find it more insulting when people think it's funny. Yeah. Like when people walk into the States and go, hey, what's going to happen with the 51st state? I'm like,
it's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's not funny. And these tariffs are very real, and there are real people in this country losing their job because of 100%. Uncertainty and doubt. And I hope you're right, of course, but I've had chats with people like Ed Keenan, who covered Trump for the Toronto Star. He lived there with his family he was at the Jan 6 insurrection, not as a participant, he reminds me, as a journalist or whatever. And he's not as certain as you are that there's no plan at some point to use the military, because this may be a child, and I agree with you, this is a child, maybe he doesn't have a plan, but he absolutely is the commander-in-chief of the world's largest military, and I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Yeah, I think it's that's a fair statement. I just don't think that. I think there's a point where the people around him will say, okay, that's enough. No general is going to put into place the order to invade Canada.
Promise?
Promise.
Okay, I'm going to make you sign an executive order. That's
exactly.
the case. Okay.
Yeah. Not sure what my executive orders are worth, but...
Well, we'll see. Our selfie by the tree we'll have to do for now. Shout out to Damien Cox. Okay, so what do you think of this world we live in 2025? I don't want to make this heavy because I'm going to get back to hockey in a moment here, but you're a politically outspoken gentleman, and we'll get to that later, but did you think 2025 would look like this? I find it rather anxiety-inducing and chaotic.
No, I didn't. I thought it was... I think it's a very difficult time for a lot of people, and I think that it's the uncertainty is very difficult. It's one thing to face, policies or people that you oppose that you can understand, but this just changes every day, right? It's like you wake up every morning. Is it on? Is it off? Or are we getting tariffed? Are we not? What's happening here? That uncertainty has to be very difficult. I find it interesting that you say I'm a political person, because I'm actually not. I am. I have political views that I've not expressed, but one of the big criticisms I get, shouldn't put it that way, but when people are critical of me, they'll say, I don't like his politics. I've never expressed a political opinion on there. I've never said, vote for this candidate, I support this party. People think I'm a liberal. My friends in Alberta would find that amusing. I have never, the only things I've talked about on the air are inclusion, tolerance, equity. Those aren't political beliefs.
Right.
Lots of Republicans believe in that in the States. I mean, the case for gay marriage before the U.S. Supreme Court was argued by Ted Olson, one of the most conservative lawyers in America. He said it's a simple matter of fairness and justice. That's what this is. So I've never said, I think taxes should be higher, lower. I think this should. I've never said that. I have political opinions. I have great political debates with friends, but it is funny that I get put in this sort of, I took on Barstool Sports, so you're a liberal. My views, I've never expressed my views in public.
Right.
You can be a conservative and not like Trump.
Right.
Right. I mean, that is possible.
I hear exactly what you're saying. So you're right. Maybe why did I conflate, political ideology with what you are outspoken about, which is not political at all. It's about human rights, essentially.
Yeah, like
fairness.
Yeah, fairness is not a political position.
No, I know.
And saying to people who are in, a minority or who are in an identifiable group that are, that are not treated well, to say, you're welcome here. Like being in favor of Pride nights is not a political position. That's just saying to someone, welcome here. You are welcome here. And we don't judge you here. And we want you to feel comfortable here. That's not a political position at all.
I agree. So because you brought up the Barstool thing, I'll just read.
Why did I do that?
You introduced that. You opened that door. I'm just going to read what you wrote at the time. You're now deleted. I'm going to ask you about Twitter too, because your account's been deleted. And I'm going to ask you.
I deleted it, so it wasn't done for me. I deleted it.
Well, you deleted it. And I don't post on Twitter myself, but I didn't actually delete the account. I just stopped posting there.
So what I do is I go back on every 3 months and restart it, so someone can't take my account name and post as me.
Okay, I don't trust myself to remember to do that. So I just left it dormant. It's collecting dust as we speak. Okay, but I don't even go on there anymore, but we'll get to that in a moment. So this is Gord tweeting. My problem with Barstool is the history of unapologetic misogyny, racism, xenophobia, and the repeated condoning of non-consensual sex. If not wanting to associate with that makes me part of, quote, cancel culture, or constitutes, quote, virtue signaling, or being, quote, woke, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak to those thoughts. I agree with you. I want to hear how you dealt with the blowback and what kind of blowback you received. I remember at that time feeling for you that you were being attacked from a certain segment of the populace that felt you were being, you already put them in quotes, but I can't even say that word.
Virtue signaling.
Right, and woke.
Yeah, I think that, look, I was asked in a Q&A if I would go on the Spit and Chicklets podcast. And I like the guys at Spit and Chicklets. I know those guys. I like them. I think they're funny. But my point was not about their podcast. It was who platformed it. And that's on Barstool. And I have a problem with Barstool. So that's fair. I mean, if you're, now they sick the Barstool bros on you and all that stuff, and it's fine. I don't care. Doesn't affect me. I did get an actionable death threat. Like the police acted on a death threat from the United States. And like I saw the body cam video of the guy being, arrested and all that stuff.
That's serious.
Yeah, I think that's unnerving. We live in a very polarized time, and we live in a time where having an opinion is an opposing opinion is not. It's no longer okay. Let's talk it out. It's like, I'm right, you're an idiot, right? And especially in that segment of the population, this sort of aggrieved guy, thing where it's like, the hyper, whatever you call it, the hyper masculine guy is like, any disagreement is you're soft or whatever else.
It's toxic masculinity.
Whatever you want to call it. So it's fine. I mean, I respect those people have the right to do what they want. I don't want to be part of it. So the overwhelming response I got was positive.
Good.
So I used to have 2 people that monitored my Twitter account for me. And one of them said, you could have given us a heads up you were going to say that. Because it got like 10 million views or something. It got a crazy number of views. And I don't regret it at all. I think it needed to be said. And one of the most gratifying things I got from it was the number of female colleagues and others who said thank you.
Right.
Like, why doesn't someone else say something? Why doesn't someone else speak up?
I know. I went to see it yesterday. That's when I discovered Gord Miller deleted this account, but you can still see all the replies. And I think Kate Burness was the first reply I saw, actually. It was like a thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's gratifying. I mean, look, I'm very fortunate that I have a public profile and I have a platform. And yeah, I'm going to use it to raise money for Ukraine and to promote, charitable causes I believe in, and to promote equity and inclusion and fairness. Those aren't political positions. Like, I don't see supporting Ukraine as being political.
No.
That's humanitarian. That's not when I went there, I'm not taking sides. Well, I guess I am, but if you support Russia, that's not a side. Like,
No, it's wild, actually. Just earlier today, there's another quote from the President of the United States about how Ukraine is responsible for this war. And it's what you mentioned earlier. He's a child, but it's one of those head scratchers. Like, how can the victim, the oppressed, be the invaded, be the cause of the war?
But we live now in a world where truth is under attack, right? More than ever, right? So on social media, there are people that honestly believe that vaccinating their children puts them in danger. Like, despite the science, despite the evidence, despite generations of evidence, that think that vaccinating their kids is a bad idea. So all of a sudden we have measles outbreaks. Right. So it's very hard to sit there sometimes and look at misinformation, disinformation that's out there, and not be sad about it.
Now I'm going to quote you again, Gord. And don't worry, this gets lighter and happier in a moment here. Okay. I'm Gord Miller, everybody. I won't do an impression. I'll just read it. I recently stepped away quietly from Twitter/X. In parentheses, I didn't say anything at the time. This isn't the airport. Departures don't need to be announced. My reasons were the toxicity of the owner and the unchecked hate/misinformation on the site. Now I need to speak out. This week, as an NHL player and his family were the subject of disgusting and baseless social media rumors, the administrators of this site did nothing. The posts are still up, confirming my decision. I'll be posting exclusively on Threads/Blue Sky for the foreseeable future. So this was a tweet, I guess, before you deleted the account completely. Mm-hmm. And I won't even name the names, but we all know this rumor that was spread far and wide on social media. And I'm wondering, so what are your social media rules for yourself? Like, I noticed you're not exactly you're not that active on Blue Sky.
No, I'm not active on social media much at all. Actually, I'm really, and that's a conscious decision. I'm actually really enjoying it. So the funny thing about it is you get into a free speech argument, right? Like, well, you're against free speech. Freedom of speech doesn't mean the freedom to say anything. You can't slander people. You can't libel them. You can't disclose public or private information without permission. You can't disclose company secrets. You can't disclose government secrets.
You can't deny the Holocaust. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
Well, in Canada you can't, but in the United States you can. Right, the Holocaust, right? There's different rules. But the point is there are limits to free speech, and free speech isn't free of consequences. If you want to be the head of the Toronto Flat Earth Society, and you legitimately think that the Earth is flat, and you want to go out and keep saying that, that's fine. But if you work for a law firm, they might decide, you know what, this public position you're taking is affecting our business, and they might let you go. That's a decision you have to take if you believe that your views are that important to make. That's something you have to decide to do. So my point was about that issue with the NHL player, about a lot of other things, is that the amount of vitriol and hate that was being spread on that site unchecked, which is something I didn't want to be part of. I didn't want to be part of it anymore. So I'm not. And I feel miles better for doing it. And now over the course of time, I'm using social media less. I don't find I need it. I don't get up in the morning and doom scroll. I read the papers. I have lots of sources of information. I just don't feel like I need social media to be part of it. And I feel way better for it. Now, people that like it, great, good for you.
Right.
But I think the free speech argument has been perverted, that lying is should go unchecked, and all that's not free speech. Right. Willingly spreading falsehoods about individuals or anyone else is wrong. And so that's kind of why I pulled off Twitter. And
no regrets. You're happier being on other social media platforms and being there very little.
I'm actually not. I'm on.
I can tell because you wrote me an email. I think it was earlier today. Like, are we still on for 2:00? And then I'm like, oh, he's really checked out of Blue Sky because I've been tagging him all week or whatever.
Oh yeah, I have not. I probably haven't checked a social media account since like last Thursday or Friday or something. I don't. Like I get my news from all kinds of, like, I think I'm a well-informed person. I don't need social media to do it.
Right. All right, we're going to take a breather here. We got heavy there, Gord, and it's all stuff I was curious about since your last visit, but I want to give you some more gifts if that's okay.
Sure.
Gord Miller, I'm pleased to give you a wireless speaker from Moneris.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
It's a great sound, too.
I need one of these.
I mentioned Ed Keenan the other day, but at his 50th birthday party, he was blasting the beats with his Moneris
Thank you.
Wireless speaker. So why did I just give you that? Moneris doesn't sell speakers, okay? So what the heck am I doing here? Because you're going to subscribe and listen to Yes, We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast from Moneris, hosted by Al Grego. This week, Al Grego he sat down with Ashley Donald, the owner of Basket Cases, a prominent gift basket store in Regina, Saskatchewan. So Al got on a plane, went to Regina, sat down with Ashley, and she shared her inspiring journey of buying and running the business, discussing her origins, struggles, and future outlook, so you can discover how she transformed from a dedicated customer to the chief basket case herself, navigating the challenges of pandemic, inflation, and marketing, while also maintaining a strong community spirit. I bet you've got some memories of Regina, Saskatchewan.
I do.
You want to share any with me? I've been doing this since all April. I've been talking about this trip to Regina that Al took, and I've had all these rock stars, like Gilmore, not Doug Gilmore, but all these, we've been talking about Regina. Any good memories of Regina to share?
So John Candy, the late John Candy, when he owned the Argos, we were standing on the sidelines together, and a rainstorm out of nowhere came up and just drenched us. Okay. And someone said, "Hey guys, turn around," and they took a picture of us, and my hair is like standing, like it looks like a loaf of bread has risen or something. And John is soaked. And that's the only picture I have with John.
Oh, well, we talked about Bruce McNall earlier, so it makes sense you'd be there for that era there. And Wayne Gretzky, of course. It all comes together here, Gord. Did you know there's a book coming out on John Candy that was written by Paul Myers, Mike Myers' brother?
No, I did not know that. John was honestly and literally a larger than life person. Like when he entered a room, it was unbelievable. It just, one night we're at the Palomino Club in Winnipeg at the Grey Cup, and it's like Friday night, and he says to the manager, like, set up the house, buy the house around. And the manager's like, "Sir, there's 600 people here." He said, "Well, you better hurry."
I've heard nothing but great things about
he was a wonderful
John
guy.
Candy. Geez, gone far, far too soon. And just yesterday I was watching the first episode of this new season of Last of Us. Do you watch any current TV?
I do. I watch a lot of it, yeah. I'm now I should say I'm behind on Severance. But
you love Severance, right?
I do.
Is there something wrong with me that I fell asleep during the first episode of the second season?
I haven't seen the second season yet. I'm still on season 1. So,
but I found it until the finale. I found season 1 sleepy.
No,
like that's me, right? That's a Mike thing.
I find it. I mean, the John Turturro, Christopher Walken arc is like, whoa. Right. That is.
It might be a Mike thing.
No, and Succession is. I might rewatch Succession. It was so good.
Oh yeah, well, so Severance is the one I fell. Yes, but yes, Succession I watched and enjoyed. Yeah, thoroughly.
It was fantastic. So I love. Yeah, I'm very much into the creativity and the writing and all of that. Just, I mean, the direction and production of Severance. I thought, and the writing on Succession was just unbelievable, just incredible.
Do you watch the White Lotus?
I've not watched it. I watched. So I shouldn't say that. I watched the first season and liked it. I've not watched the subsequent seasons. My time is somewhat limited. I read a lot too. So,
look, shame we don't want to cut into that reading time. So last night now the White Lotus is done. So Sunday nights at like 10 or 9 or whatever it is are sort of like that's like your Sopranos time slot. That's like when you watch your like.
So I remember when the Sopranos used to like you had to wait till Sunday night to watch the Sopranos.
Yeah,
I had the Grey Market.
It's still like that, the HBO shows.
I had the Grey Market dish.
Yeah.
So we used to have people over. We'd have like Sopranos viewing parties.
So no, the movie network was the way I had to watch the Sopranos. Yeah. Like I had to pay big bucks to the movie network, which is now Crave, I suppose. But so just bringing up The Last of Us because there I see Catherine O'Hara. Is on the show now, and then I just thought of Don.
And she's on the she's on the studio too, right?
See, I've heard that's a Seth Rogen, right? Yeah. I got to catch that. See, I don't get Apple TV, so like these Apple TV shows have to fall off like turnip trucks or something like that. I need that Grey Market disc you got here. Okay, so you got your speaker. One last amazing gift here. Like you've already got beer, lasagna, measuring tape, and a speaker. And only guests in April are receiving this gift, and it's pretty kick ass, my friend. Gord, do you like driving a nice clean car?
Yes.
Good answer, because cleaning is only a hassle if you make it one, and that's how they feel at Silver Wax. I'm here to tell everybody that Silver Wax makes pro-grade auto care and cleaning technology easy for everyone to use. They have kits for beginners, experts, or professionals. Everything you need. This giant bucket that I'm pointing to.
Wow. This is mine?
It's full, that and these 2 spray bottles.
Wow.
This is a robust kit.
Wow.
And you can do interior and exterior
And the
detailing of your
ceramic
automobile.
Lotus effect. Wow.
Honestly, you're going to come back and go, Mike, this Silver Wax is the only way I'm washing my car. That's a Canadian company, too. I got to shout out the Canadian companies.
Good,
All my sponsors are Canadian companies. Silver Wax has been proudly Canadian since 1999. So if you want to support the show and save 10% on these excellent Silver Wax products, go to silverwax.ca and use the promo code TorontoMike10 at checkout, and you save 10%. So you got a lot of stuff to bring back to Midtown
I like it.
with you here.
I like it.
Good stuff. Okay. Where will I go next? Okay, so you, my friend, call games for TSN.
Yes.
How many games do you have left in this regular season?
2. I got the Leafs at Buffalo tomorrow night, and I got Detroit at Toronto on Thursday.
Okay, so you got it. That's a regional TSN game. Okay. Yeah. Are you going to be calling any playoff games?
I will not.
So did you call playoff games last year?
No, I did games for ESPN a couple years ago. 2 and 3 years ago. I did them for NBC for 11 years.
Right.
But no, I will not be. I'll be going to the World Hockey Championship in Stockholm.
That's a tough gig, man.
Oh, it's
honest to God.
People say to me like, "Oh, you're disappointed you don't do playoff games?" Like, my company sends me to great European cities for a month every May. No, I'm not disappointed at all.
I've had many a conversation with what's it? Well, Paul Romanuk and I are buds. He's been over here a few times. Kind of did the World Juniors before you did. But this idea that you can go to a cool European town or city for a couple of weeks or whatever that's unbelievable to me. Like, that's unbelievable.
Prague last year.
Yeah.
Stockholm this year. Zurich next year.
Do you ever pinch yourself, Gord?
Yes.
That is amazing.
I'm very. Anytime I'm going to complain, I feel. Broke your chair.
Those are robust chairs. Don't worry, they can handle it.
I feel very fortunate. I have a job I love to do. I work with great people, and I get to visit unbelievable places and meet incredible people. I'm very, very fortunate. So anytime I'm sitting out of delay or whatever, I remind myself that I'm a very fortunate person.
I think you might have the best hockey gig in the world. Maybe
it's pretty good.
Like, where's the juniors next winter?
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay, so it's in Minnesota. When are you back in Europe next? Do you know?
20. So the next one after, it's going to be St. Paul. Then I think it's back in Canada the 27 tournament will be, I think, in Alberta.
Oh,
and home. then 28 is, I think, in Finland. And 29's in Czechia, something like that.
Okay, that's amazing. Like,
it's a long way off.
And what a great tournament. I know it's a long way off, but you're the man. Okay, so I want to find out what you're up to. So the big news that came down a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, is that Rogers is re-upping for another 12 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, Chris Cuthbert, you mentioned him earlier. Chris Cuthbert was a TSN guy who seemingly left to become the number 1 guy at Sportsnet when Jim Houston stepped down, if you will. So have you ever had a thought to jump to Rogers to get more games? You can tap out, man. It's okay.
I've been asked.
You know, because I will now, just to bring it back to Bob McKenzie for a minute, because there was like a rumor when this first 12-year deal was announced. There was a rumor that Rogers was pursuing a few people at TSN to like tap. Like, I'm thinking specifically Darren Dreger, Bob McKenzie, and James Duthie. And then I had all 3 in the basement and grilled them like I'm grilling you right now. You feel the heat? You feel that? See, no, because this is easy. So I had them all down here, look them in the eyes, and I asked them all the questions. And it turns out, through my journalistic purveyance here, I found out that only James Duthie was tapped. And so only James Duthie got an offer to go to Rogers. I guess the Strombo gig was supposed to be James Duthie.
From the studio.
Yeah, from the studio. Yeah, but to work for Rogers because they had the 12-year deal.
They talked to other people too.
Did they talk to you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell me that last time? I got to play my breaking news thing.
Can't remember.
So all of these guys just re-upped with TSN because they loved working for TSN.
Yeah.
So where are you at with that? Like, I know you love your job. We just talked about it. But there's more games at Rogers and playoffs. Don't you want to call a Stanley Cup final game again?
I'm good. My legacy has nothing to do with the NHL. My legacy is international. I mean, you know, my legacy is international hockey, the juniors. I like what I do. I like the people I work with. So my view is I'm really happy where I'm at, really happy what I'm doing. I don't look at what I'm not doing. I look at what I am doing. And I enjoy Mike Johnson and I have a great time together.
He's good.
Yeah,
He's very good.
He's very good. So yeah, I have no, my feeling is that I like what I'm doing. I never, if someone came to me with something, I would always look at it. But in the past, I've not found anything that is more compelling than what I'm doing now.
I'm still processing that bomb you dropped on me. Like, so how many people, I wonder, were pursued before they brought in George Stroumboulopoulos? Do you know anyone else who got tapped?
I'm not gonna comment on what happened there. It's not. I don't work for them. I don't know who they talk to, so it's not. None of my business.
So I can say, because it's been on the public record, is that so James Duthie was approached, and then all three of those guys, Dreger, McKenzie, who's semi-retired now, Dreger, McKenzie, and Duthie all just locked in for like long-term deals with TSN, and they have no regrets themselves. And you're happy. So Chris Cuthbert, maybe he just had an offer he couldn't refuse and decided to go for it. And I would think, and again, I'm just speculating, that Cuthbert leaving for Rogers would benefit a Gord Miller.
I don't know. I mean, look, Chris and I are old friends, and we got along great as colleagues. He was doing the CFL. Did the Grey Cup and all that. So that's not something I do. No, Chris has done a great job. He's a terrific broadcaster, and he's happy. And that's all you can wish for someone, right? You just hope that everyone, look, it's not a binary proposition. It's not either or, right? We can both enjoy what we do. We can both, it's a 24-hour sports network, right? You can't do everything. Like you can't be on all the time, and you wouldn't want to be. Right. So the way I look at it is, I look at it from my perspective, and am I fulfilled? Am I enjoying what I'm doing?
Right.
That's what now, when that deal came up in 2013, I will tell you this, my daughter was 8 at the time. The idea of working every Saturday night did not appeal to me at all. I had no interest in, being away every weekend. That was not a big thing for me.
When the World Championships end, do you get the summer off like a teacher?
Yes.
You're like a teacher until...
Except I don't deal with children. Well, depending we think of professional athletes, but yeah. I'm done. So.
You got a good life, man.
I do. I have a great life. I'm very happy. I'm
a lot of cycling time there.
A lot of cycling time at the right time to do it. So I'm very fortunate, and I try to take time to step back and feel gratitude for what I have.
Did you get any calls from Amazon when they were building a team for their Monday night package?
No comment.
You're the best. I love it. All right. And last question on this front here, since I'm struggling to get you in any trouble here. And not that I'm trying to do that. I'm kidding. But did you hope in the back of your mind that maybe when the 12-year deal with Rogers ended, the one you talked about from 2013, that maybe Bell Media gets a big chunk of the next package, or if not more? Or do you care? My view was, we didn't lose anything we had. So my view was, whatever came along, I'd look at it. But I mean, if the worst case scenario is I keep doing what I'm doing, that's a great scenario. And I'm thinking now of the great Bob Cole, who was retired, okay? Because Scott Moore came over and talked about he basically tapped him on the shoulder, tapped Bob Cole on the shoulder and said, time's up, we got to wind this down. Because Cole would go until he died, basically. Yeah. He would have kept doing it. Do you have any thoughts on when you'd like to step away and enjoy a retirement, or are you like Bob Cole? You want to call games till you die? I think there's a lot of things out there I want to do that have nothing to do with hockey. I enjoy what I do, but I have a lot of other interests. So I think I think there'll be a time when I would like to travel on my schedule, to see things I want to see, that kind of thing. Yeah, that time will come. I thought you were going to tell me you were going to run in for politics or something like that. No plans. I've been asked, and the answer is no. So what party? I won't say. Not going to say. That would be a political position. You know what you're like? You're like Steve Paikin, okay? I have a pretty good relationship with Paikin, comes over a lot. And trying to, I know his wife's party, because she's very public about working for the Progressive Conservative Party in this province. But Paikin, I'm completely objective. I would say that be careful, but it would surprise people who asked. Wow. Okay, after the recording, I'm gonna guess. Okay, is that a deal? Okay, my friend, you've been amazing. I I want to shout out recyclemyelectronics.ca, because if you have old cables, old electronics, old devices, you don't throw that in the garbage. Those chemicals end up in our landfill.
Right.
Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and be like, oh, drop it off here and to be properly recycled. That's what you're going to do for me, Gord. Got it? Got it.
Got it.
And last but not least, the CN Tower is turning 50.
Oh.
And we did a special episode for, it's called Building Toronto Skyline, hosted by Nick Iones. I get to co-host the show. But we talked to a guy named Jack who worked on the CN Tower 50 years ago. And what was it like? What were you doing? Like the vision behind it? I'm not sure we've had such vision since. Like this,
Yeah.
Can't imagine the city without the CN Tower. Have you ever seen Toronto Skyline without the CN Tower?
I would have, yeah. When was the tower built?
50 years ago.
So 75.
Yeah, he was up there in 75.
I was here, yeah, before that.
Okay. So, geez, I guess you watched it being built. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So people should subscribe and listen to Building Toronto Skyline with Nick Iones. Thank you for sponsoring the show, Nick. We got Leafs and Sens again. I didn't want to do any hockey talk with you. I know that, so you probably think when people ask you to come on, they want to talk hockey. The last thing I want to talk to Gord Miller about is hockey. I feel like people can get that anywhere. Go watch TSN. You'll get some Gord Miller covering hockey. But Leafs versus Sens is interesting to me because we did win a series. Was that last year or the year before the Leafs won a series? I can't believe I don't remember. We beat Tampa Bay, was it? Was that 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago, okay. Other than that one series victory, our last series victory was 2004 in the first round. Pat Quinn was the coach of the damn team. Ed Belfour was in net, and we beat the Sens because we always beat the Sens. We beat them like 4 series in a row. Any thoughts on Leafs versus Sens?
Great series. I would say that this Ottawa team, having not been in the playoffs since 2017, is anxious to be back. If Linus Ullmark keeps playing the way he has the last month and a half or so, Ottawa's going to be a tough out. Ottawa's going to be a very tough out if Ullmark keeps playing like that. And Ottawa's going to get healthier. Brady Tkachuk's going to be back. They're going to have healthy bodies back. It'll be a tough series. It'll be a very good series, which is, I think, all you can ask for.
And how I'd like to close is I'm curious if we could talk a little bit of music. So, because we touched on the hip and stuff, but what kind of music does Gord Miller listen to? Like I don't know, whenever you listen to your music, what are you listening
to? Everything. I like a lot of stuff. On the way over, I was listening to Bob Dylan from The Last Waltz. Yeah. The Last Waltz soundtrack. So I love that.
Look, hook the Staple Singers version of The Weight to My Veins, okay?
Yeah.
And I love that Forever Young by Bob Dylan, Forever Young.
Yeah, so it's like a 5. He does Maybe Let Me Follow You Down, Like We Never Have Met, Forever Young, then Let Me Follow You Down, sort of reprise, and then he does, as part of an ensemble, he does I Shall Be Released. So that's what I had on the way over. So, but I have everything. I like a lot of new stuff. I would say I'm somewhat of a Swiftie. I would confess to that. Through my daughter.
No shame in that. My daughter too. I'm a bit of a Swiftie.
She's a great songwriter. She's a terrific. I like anyone who's got something to say.
Yeah. But it's not my older daughter. My youngest daughter, who is just turned 9, is the big Swiftie in this house. Like just a diehard Swiftie. And it's some good shit there, man. No shame in that game. Did you enjoy the Bob Dylan biopic?
I've not seen it yet.
Okay, get that on the list.
I want to. I've not seen it yet. I hear it's quite good. Timothy Chalamet is great. I want to see it. I just haven't had a chance yet. Okay,
it's on your list. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on the Canadian rock band Chilliwack.
Fly By Night?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Because I confirmed this morning that Bill Henderson, who apparently he is Chilliwack, I'm told, is going to be in the basement.
Nice.
Chilliwack's doing a farewell tour. Like they're going to do one last tour. So we're going to talk about this farewell tour, and we're going to talk about Chilliwack, and that's happening soon. And I just wondered if you had any Chilliwack fondness.
Yeah. Good. They're a BC band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
We heard them a lot in Western Canada.
I bet. There's some bands like...
Brian Adams. Brian Adams used to play the Riv Rock Room in Edmonton.
I knew he's a West Coast guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about another West Coast band, which I don't know anything about, but I hear from West Coast people they were really, really big. Street Heart.
Yes, Street Heart was very big.
Yeah.
They did the circuit. They did all that. Yeah.
So I was always surprised at how much like some bands are just sort of hype. Like, I mean, I'm not saying we didn't play any Street Heart on Q107 or whatever, but I never knew much Street Heart growing up.
Yeah.
But big out west.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite band of all time?
The Stones would be right up there for me.
Okay, well, you can't go wrong with the Rolling Stones. Okay. Do you have a favorite Stones song?
Yeah. Give Me Shelter.
Mary Clayton doing
Yeah.
the most amazing job doing backup.
Yeah.
And then she gets that hitch in her voice.
Yes.
Love it so much. Okay. Gord Miller, will you be back for a third round at some point?
In 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I no, I think we're on a schedule. Like I said, let's give it a little time and then get Gord back here. Dude, I love talking to you, man.
Yeah, it's good talking to you.
Very interesting. And next time I won't accept no comment as an answer. I'm going to pick you up by the scruff of your collar and pin you against the wall and treat you like a hostile witness.
No comment.
You got a lot of swag.
I did.
More than last time.
Yeah.
You're a lucky son of a bitch. By the way, Ridley Funeral Home, I mentioned Canadian companies. They're super Canadian because they're right here in New Toronto. But they only sell Canadian caskets.
Nice.
Northern Casket is the name of this casket manufacturer that they offer to their families. And I just love the fact that they only use Canadian products at Ridley Funeral Home. So much love to Brad Jones at Ridley Funeral Home. And that brings us to the end of our 1,672nd show. Dude, that I know it was we're not going to do an all-star game. We're going to do the Four Nations. And at first I was a little skeptical of the whole thing, but that was awesome.
Another question? I thought we were going.
I'm throwing it out there.
It was very good. Yeah.
Who are you rooting for in that final?
No comment.
Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Moneris, Silver Wax, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Building Toronto Skyline, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow. It's a deep dive into the history of K-Tel with the founder's daughter. It's a K-Tel episode. All the K-Tel info you'd want to know.
Patty Stacker.
Yeah, everything. And mini pops and all the K-Tel stuff. We're doing that tomorrow. See you all then.